but I had the worst. You have 1 minute, team. Team, we have about 30 seconds. We are about 15 seconds away, team. You laughing at me?
Yes.
I'll accept that. Yes. Absolutely. So always know that if I use the word team, I'm speaking the same thing to everyone.
I do the same thing when I was coaching. I do the same thing with my students.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is friend. Hey, friend. All right, team, we are ready to begin.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. It's 6:45 p.m. on Monday, January 13th, 2025. My name's Amber Orozco. I've been appointed the corporation attorney for 2024, and so that means I open up this meeting for you as well. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Thank you. Looks like everyone who should be present is. I don't think we're waiting on anybody, are we?
I'm here.
Wonderful. The first order of business here is to have the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would please rise.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. This is the Board of Finance meeting that we are meeting here first, and so what we are going to do is elect officers for your Board of Finance. The first officer we'll elect is the President of the Board of Finance. Are there any nominations for the President of the Board of Finance?
I'll make a nomination for Jessica Brennan to be the President of the Board of Finance.
Is there a second for Jessica Brennan to be the President of the Board of Finance?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Brandy. Second by Brandy Wilson. Are there any other nominations for President for Board of Finance? Don't everyone jump at once. Any other nominations? Any discussion before this vote? We'll take a vote. All in favor of Jessica Brennan? We'll go by a roll call.
Is that necessary, or just hands?
It's not necessary. We can do hands.
Let's do hands.
Wonderful. All in favor of Ms. Brennan being appointed the President of the Board of Finance, please raise your hand. 5. All opposed? 2 abstentions. 5-0. Thank you. Jessica, if it's okay with you, I will continue and get the secretary unless you'd like to take over at this point.
No, you can continue.
Okay. The next office to be elected is the Secretary of the Board of Finance. Are there any nominations for the Secretary of the Board of Finance?
I will nominate Greg Burris as the Secretary of the Board of Finance.
Is there a second for Greg Burris?
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations for the Secretary of the Board of Finance? Any discussion to have before our vote? We'll take a vote by show of hands. All in favor of Greg Burris as Secretary of the Board of Finance, please raise your hand. 5. All opposed, please raise your hand. 2 abstentions. 5-0. Kendra, I think I pass it to you at this point.
Yep. The first item on the agenda is the investment report. It's enclosure number 1 in your packet. This goes over every single one of our bank accounts and the year-to-date checking account interest paid and end of year balance. If you don't mind, what I'll do is total them for every year, and if there's any discussion or questions, please ask at any time. I'm only going back to 2022. At the time, we had 5 interest-bearing accounts, and we received a total of $25,917.70. In 2023, we had a total of 6 interest-bearing accounts for a total of $407,791.61. In 2024, we had a total of 8 interest-bearing accounts, and we received a total of $629,165.26. The end-of-year balance in 2023 for all of our accounts was $17,231,420.72. The end-of-year balance for 2024 was $16,401,168.62. Now, I will just make a comment to this that in 2023, we still had some large balances for our bond proceeds. That was from the turf project, and we also had remaining amounts from other bonds that we had issued that have since been paid off or paid down the projects. In 2024, in December, we did receive our interest on our CD that has renewed for $50,147.29. That interest is from a CD at Bath State Bank for $1 million. Are there any questions? Okay, so this item is for discussion only, so we will move on to item number 5. I will present the report that comes from the DUAB, Distressed Units Appeals Board, that they post every year for schools on the fiscal indicators. This is for the 23-24 timeframe. Our ADM count was 1,954 students. Our assessed value at the time for 2024 was 978 million. Our estimated population for the area was 16,978. On the next page, and again, this is enclosure number 2 in the Board of Finance folder, you can see our enrollment for fall and spring for in-person and virtual. Page number 3 shows our funds. Now there is a difference because in 2021 was when we added on Stiefel as a financial consultant, and they really helped us with our capital funds as far as bond projects and utilizing bonds to help with projects that we did around the school corporation. The next page, you can see the annual deficit or surplus spending. In 2021 was the first time on this chart since 2014 that we had a surplus spending. Every year from there was deficit, and it has continued over the last 3 years. The fund balance is the next page. Fund balance as a percent of expenditures. If there's any questions, please ask at any time. The next page is our revenue by type. You can see we did take on different revenue as far as debt revenue. We were able, like I said, you can see in green, that's when we took on, we've added Stiefel as help to be able to help us with our capital projects and spending and being able to fund those projects. And the last page, page 7, is our operating referendum revenue, which we have never had an operating referendum in Franklin County. So you can see it says a 0. Any questions that go along with the fiscal indicators? Okay, so that is for discussion only as well. The next item is the review of the investment policy. This is Indiana code that we are to review this policy every year during this meeting. I am requesting no revisions to the current policy. It's enclosure number 3. It is a discussion and review only. Any questions? No? Okay, that's all I have.
Would you like to adjourn us?
This would adjourn the meeting for the Board of Finance. We'll see you all at 7 for the real thing.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call to order the first meeting of 2025 of the Franklin County Community School Board Corporation. Franklin County Community School Corporation School Board. The first thing we would need to do is elect a new president for this year. I'd like to run the nominations. Is there a nomination for the president of the school board?
I would like to nominate Kevin Kaiser as president.
Ms. Wilson nominates Kevin Kaiser. Is there a second?
I'll second Kevin
Second by
Kaiser.
Jessica Brennan. Are there any other nominations for the president of the school board? Is there any other nominations? Any discussion regarding the nomination? We'll take a vote by show of hands. All in favor of Kevin Kaiser, president of the school board, please raise your hand. 5. All opposed? 2 abstentions. Are there nominations for a vice president of the school board?
I'll make a motion to nominate Jessica Brennan as vice president.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Brandy Wilson. Are there other nominations for vice president of the school board? Is there any discussion for our nomination? We'll take a vote by show of hands. All in favor of Jessica Brennan, vice president of the school board, please raise your hand. 5. All opposed, please raise your hand. 2 abstentions. The third office is for the secretary of the school board. Do I have a nomination for the secretary of the school board?
I'll make a motion to nominate Brandy Wilson as secretary.
Brandy Wilson, secretary nomination. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Greg Burris. Are there any other nominations for secretary of the school board? Is there any discussion for our nomination of secretary of the school board? We'll vote by show of hands. All in favor of Brandy Wilson, secretary of the school board, please raise your hand. 5. All opposed? 2 abstentions. The final office is your legislative liaison to the Indiana School Board Association. Is there a nomination for our legislative liaison? Excuse me.
I would make a motion to nominate Kim Simonson.
Nomination for Kim Simonson?
I respectfully withdraw.
Withdrawn. Let's try again. Is there another nomination? It's a very popular office. We got to fill it tonight, guys.
I will say, I will do it again. We were seeing if anyone else wanted to do it, so if anybody is wanting to do it, speak up.
So we probably need just a nomination and a second,
Correct.
if that's the route we go, so if someone would like to pursue.
I will make a motion to nominate Kevin Kaiser for the legislative liaison.
Is there a second for Mr. Kaiser's nomination for the legislative liaison?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Brandy. Are there any other nominations for this highly sought-after position? Is there any discussion? Take a vote by show of hands. All in favor of Kevin Kaiser as legislative liaison to the ISBA, please raise your hand. 5. All opposed? 2 abstentions. I will let Mr. Gehring lead the next part of the conversation about where and when you'll have your meeting.
Absolutely. First and foremost, I want to say congratulations and thank you to everyone who was willing to step forward into these offices. We know that this is a risk to go out there, to put yourself out there, and to be out front. And so thank you to all 4 or 3 of you as everything plays out. Thank you for your willingness to take that on, and everyone else who's going to be working along with them along the way. Tonight, we are also going to be deciding on time, date, and place of regular school board meetings. I took the liberty, and it's certainly easy to revise, of making a list of all of the second Mondays of each month for the year 2025, as well as January 12th of 26. And that would reflect our traditional model of every second Monday. I look for anything that was breaking holidays, or I wanted to make sure we didn't have any conflicts along the way. In addition to that, I took the liberty of, you want to miss something? Okay. I took the liberty of reflecting on a 6 o'clock start time. I respectfully request that we shift that down for the sake of everyone involved, including my team as well, to get them home at a reasonable time. And so though it is a board action, as a superintendent, I put those together and requesting a first, a second, and then potentially a vote, unless someone else has an opposition.
I'll make a motion to set the time and date for the second Monday of every month at 6 PM.
We'll need a second.
I'll second.
That leads to a vote. Hands up for yes. Passes 7-0. Thank you. Next, we'd like to appoint the corporation treasurer, deputy treasurer, and extracurricular treasurer. They happen to all be the same person, so that's exciting news for sure. So Dustin Gehring, superintendent, is recommending that Ms. Kendra Franks continue as corporation business manager in all those areas. If so, we need a first, a second, and a vote.
I move to have Kendra as our wonderful money lady.
A second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
Discussion?
You know, I'm new, came back to the board, and I've spent a lot of time with Kendra in a number of days, and she's always just made a spot available to me. So she's done an outstanding job. I'm very proud to be affiliated with her, so,
Couldn't agree more.
yes.
Any other discussion? Leads to a vote. Show of hands for yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, no. Next up, Dustin Gehring, superintendent, is recommending that we continue to use the services of Miss Amber McMillan Orozco. How'd I do? Nailed it. As our corporation attorney. That would also require a first, second, discussion, and vote.
I move that we continue with Amber Orozco.
I'll second.
Discussion? And a
And
vote.
she can still run the 300s.
Sir, absolutely not.
That is a beast of a race. That is, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Very good.
I know.
So just so we're clear, the vote next will be both to make her our attorney and that she will need to run the 300s. That's been on the table so far.
How did you say it? I rescind?
Very good. So a vote to keep Amber as our corporation attorney. And please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Vote 7.
Thank you.
Turning the page, we're looking at the approval of annual per diem compensation for board members. Dustin Gehring, superintendent, is recommending that board members be compensated $2,000 as an annual per diem for 25-26, which is the model that we are currently under. To be clear with everyone, this is already what we currently do, no changes to the model as is. This will require a first, a second, discussion, and board action.
I'll make a motion to approve the per diem of $2,000 annual.
Okay, second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion?
I'll point out there are other models, and I think this was reviewed recently. We looked over this and discussed other districts do offer compensation per meeting. I like this. I like this set model because I personally feel it doesn't tie us to how many meetings are appropriate or too many meetings or questioning if we should meet. I feel it allows us to get the job done with the right amount of information or meetings, so.
And to give a small bit of clarity, there are some corporations that, in addition to the allowable $2,000 or more, also give a per meeting per diem as well. So this would be us not doing that portion of that, but just rather the standard rate. Thank you.
Yes.
Other discussion?
Yes, I think we're here for the kids. We have limited funds, and I think that we need to just stay where we are.
And with that, we'll take a vote. Hands up for yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Passes 7-0. Thank you. Next up, we are, as a group, will vote on allowing or accepting out-of-district students. So Dustin Gehring, superintendent, is recommending that the school corporation continue to accept out-of-district students. It will require a first, a second, discussion, and a vote.
Discussion. We will not be providing transportation.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And this would still go under our acceptance of those students. In other words, the grade point, the troubling, all those things go into accepting it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All true.
And that's in our policy, correct?
If you're asking me if we turn students away based on grade point averages or things like that, that hasn't been a practice that we've had. Is that what you're asking me?
Yes, but I didn't really mean grade point.
Okay.
More so troublesome
Okay.
or
Is-
behavior.
So one of the things that is true across the state is that we have the chance to respect each other's expulsion or suspensions, and we do. So if a student was to come to us from another corporation and they were expelled or suspended, that would be honored here as well. And then, of course, on the back side of that, we would make whatever plans we needed to make accordingly.
It's not in the student handbook?
This rule, this process,
Yeah, I thought that I was already in there.
it may be.
Okay.
But we do have to accept it every year as a
Okay.
new process.
All right.
No, this is not, this is an annual acceptance.
Yeah.
Good question.
Thank you.
All right, team, we'll look for, if there is a first and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the school corporation to accept out-of-district students.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you. And any other discussion or questions? With that being said, we'll move forward with a vote. Hand up for yes. And it passes 7. Turn this thing back over to you.
Yes, we're here to talk about conflict of interest disclosure statements. Under the Indiana Code, Section 3544.1-14, any public servant, which includes all of you as school board members, must disclose if you have a pecuniary interest in, or if you derive a profit from a contract with an action by a governmental entity, the school, that's served by the public servant, served by you. Does anyone have any conflict of interest disclosures to provide at this time?
Thank you. Thank you.
I do not have any contracts, but in the previous email that I sent to you, it said that I do not have any contracts with anyone,
Okay,
but that did not go through.
I got you.
Came up to you as
Yeah.
blank.
Okay.
So do we have one to disclose, Katie, or?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
I
thank you.
had to explain what I passed.
Understand, got it, thank you. I'm sorry, it's right here. If I look at page 2? Okay. So Greg, what I'm seeing here is, are you ML Burris Transportation? Is that what you're explaining here?
My wife is the 100% shareholder in
Okay.
that company.
And that company is a transportation contractor with the school?
Yes.
Okay, so I would suggest that you probably don't have to disclose that, but we choose transparency over everything else, so I appreciate that because you don't have a pecuniary interest, but your wife has a pecuniary interest in an entity with whom we contract, but we could decide not to contract with them at any point. And she's not an employee of the school corporation, right? Very good. So Mr. Burris has disclosed an interest, as you have all heard. Is there a motion to accept his conflict of interest? Does anybody have a problem?
Do we
I
have to
move.
have a motion and a second? Is that what you're saying, Amber?
Yes, we need a motion to accept any signed conflict of interest disclosure statement.
Okay.
I move that we accept his disclosure.
Is there a second?
I second.
Lots of seconds, very good. We'll take a vote. Is there any discussion? We'll take a vote by show of hands to accept Mr. Burris's conflict of interest disclosure. 7-0.
Thank you.
At this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Kevin Kaiser, and I think we'll have a reorganization.
Can we take a moment and do 2 things? I know that we wanted to get a group picture. This would be a really great time to do so. And then also, we're going to rearrange our seating a little bit. So traditionally, our president would sit here, and I'm to assume we'd like to continue that, just so that you can see across the board for voting purposes, not that it's a throne, don't worry, but just so you can see what's happening across the board. But can we have all 7 of our members kind of stand, where would probably be, yeah, I think so, by the Wildcat. Let's do it.
Break the camera.
I'm just staying.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Walk right here.
One there.
You'll be leaving it, Kevin?
What would you vote? What do you think? So team, we're gonna start right over here at the Wildcat. Shannon, would you do me a giant favor? Would you go ahead and arrange the placards accordingly?
It takes me a minute.
What's that?
It takes me a minute.
All right, we are gonna have to cover the Wildcat because we're just such a big group, no big deal.
I don't know, I don't know what their style
We got to shift that way just a bit. A little bit more, almost there, real close. How do you feel?
Everybody ready?
We're gonna take a secondary picture right up here underneath our accolades with a 4-3 model. If you want to move a chair or two, that would be okay too.
Katie, I'll let you.
All right. So ladies, we'll have you seated, and the men, if you want to stand behind.
Oh, okay.
That seems to be what we're asking. So that sounds good. Just make your arrangements.
You're okay.
Perfectly
Am I
fine.
going to my other seat?
Nope, these four.
I think
Just
Sarah's
sit,
looking right
somebody
here.
sit, I mean, I'm gonna move this coat
I think she's looking for this space right here.
Okay, so
Yeah, with all our
over.
accolades. Ladies,
Or
ladies,
this-
ladies.
this-
There you go.
Go, Katie. Are we in your way?
They're just putting the,
We're gonna just put
Four of us in chairs, guys, men stand.
Katie, I'm gonna put
Gotcha.
you right there. Beth, why don't you go right here? I got mine right here. Right here.
Gotcha.
Already in my chair.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Are we closing? What do we look, what does this look like?
Chairs so high, I can't
We'll
even
just
Be in
assume we
the
don't have any confusion.
Just be in the gap.
I didn't think of that, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Don't want anybody to think oh, look like Kevin Kaiser.
Oh, I mean,
Thank you. Look at this. Katie, come over here.
All right, we feel good? All right. All right, let's go ahead and rearrange.
Thanks, Sarah.
Seating is needed.
All right. Thanks.
I'm assuming you guys will stay where you want to be. This is where you're gonna stay.
I'll stay here. Yeah,
Kim, and then Greg, and then Beth. Unless you want to shift around. It's up to you.
I like it here. Where are you putting me? Okay, same place.
I don't feel so.
Just say same place.
I can just talk to you two, that's why I like you over here.
So you and Kevin are happy to stay,
Okay.
or you're welcome to keep it? What would you guys prefer?
I feel confident in moving forward. Are you okay?
You're running this, right?
I think we're good. Yeah. That way our cameras see it.
Because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to come. So I'll let you know. So, no weight
I've got to be
bearing.
organized like you so I can have all these fine papers.
You know, I used to do the computers all the time.
Oh, I don't do it.
And I was always looking for the enclosures, and it's,
Your hair looks so pretty. You're good to me.
It's mine, Beth,
Beth, over here.
sorry, we moved it for the picture.
All right. Are we ready to continue, team? Mr. President, you want to call to order?
Find the page.
Where are we in this now?
We will call to order the Franklin County Community School Corporation Board of Trustees meeting for Monday, January 13th, 2025. And we are going to do the Pledge of Allegiance again. So if everybody would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
We happen to have some Boy Scouts with us tonight.
Oh,
We have our
yeah.
Scouts come forward
Sure.
and join us. Come on up here, absolutely. Would you mind coming forward and leading us in the pledge? We're glad you're here. They just happen to be here.
Helpful,
They said, I
friendly,
didn't know
courteous,
that I was
kind,
going to be
cheerful,
doing
thrifty, brave, and reverent.
it. You ready?
I still
You
remember.
must have been a Boy Scout.
Indeed.
2,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May be seated.
All right. Okay.
The first or next item on the agenda is celebrations. Mr. Green.
Well, I would like to thank, as always, our Board of Education for the opportunity to speak and to celebrate. I'm going to do a little bit of an audible. So we had a pretty tough couple of weeks here, and so we normally do a bit of a process around our educator support staff of a month, and I want to make sure we stay true to that. So we're going to bring our January winners to our February meeting, which gives me a chance to celebrate them appropriately at the building. We tend to make a bit of a crowd around them, get the kids to cheer for them, and so didn't want to miss that opportunity. And then they also bring their families here, and with the way things lined up, I didn't want anyone to miss. And so if it's okay with you, we'll bring 4 in February to celebrate, and we'll do it the right way. I think it's important to do it the right way and take care of our people. However, with that being said, we are also here to celebrate that January is School Board Appreciation Month. It is my understanding that there has not yet been an appreciation to our school board in the month of January, so I'm excited to bring this moment to you and say thank you for all that you do. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to do that. So we get to celebrate you just for a moment. So, well, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight as we celebrate School Board Appreciation Month. This is a special time to pause and express our gratitude for the vital role that you, our school board members, play in shaping the future of our community. In the state of Indiana, we are proud of our commitment to public education. And at the heart of that is the commitment that you have made and the dedication to service of individuals just like you along the way. School board members are the unsung heroes. That's the absolute truth, the unsung heroes of our education system. You give your time, you give your energy and expertise, often with very little recognition, to ensure that every child in our corporation has access to a quality education. Serving on a school board is not an easy job. You face tough decisions, tight budgets, and the complex task of balancing diverse viewpoints. Yet you approach these challenges with a steadfast focus on what is best for our students. Your leadership helps provide the tools and opportunities of our children that our children need to thrive, not just academically, but socially and emotionally as well. Your role extends beyond board meetings. You are advocates for public education, voices for equality, and champions for programs that prepare students for success in an ever-changing world. From supporting innovative teaching strategies to addressing our facility needs, your work helps shape the foundation of our schools and sets the tone for educational excellence. Your commitment to our students, staff, and families is a guiding light during uncertain times. Tonight, I, as well, would like to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for your unwavering dedication, for the countless hours you spend reviewing policies and data, and for the thoughtful decisions you make to ensure our school remains strong. Thank you for supporting me as your superintendent. I know I can call any of you at any point, and you always answer, or you quickly call right back, and are able to connect and give me great, sound, and wonderful advice as to what it is we want to do next. And I want to say thank you for that, and I truly mean that. Thank you for being role models of servant leadership and for reminding us of the power of community when we all work together. To each member of this board, you are making a difference, not just for the students and families in our district today, but for generations to come. Your work truly matters, and we are profoundly grateful for all that you do. As we continue to navigate the journey of education together, please know that your efforts do not go unnoticed. Thank you for your service, your vision, and your passion for education. Here's to continue to build a bright future for the students of FCCSC. How about a big round of applause for our school board?
Next item is the consent agenda items. That's enclosure 4, including the minutes from the previous meeting, expenditures, and resignations. Table is open to a motion.
I motion to accept the consent agenda items.
I'll second.
Kim, second. All those in favor, show of hands. Is there any discussion? I'm sorry. All those in favor, show of hands. 7-0. Next is personnel new hires. Mr. Green?
Yep, we have a couple names for you here. Shelby Gardner, Media Assistant at BES. Rachel Schneider, Science Teacher at FCMS. And Brian Sain, Special Education Teacher at FCMS. Superintendent recommends all three of these as listed.
Is there a motion?
I motion that we accept these new hires for this current school year.
Ms. Holman, second.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I'd like to mention the lady number 2, Rachel Snyder. I don't know her, but I guess she's local, actually. But her pedigree is amazing. I mean, it's just amazing. She has a doctorate degree in geology, paleontology. So, I mean, what a catch that is. So,
We bring the best.
yes.
Any more discussion? A vote. All those in favor, show of hands. 7-0.
All right, under personnel extracurricular, we have a number of names here. I'm going to work through those. Alan Apsley will be varsity head unified track coach. Alan Craver, drama assistant A at FCHS. Dave Wilhelm, drama assistant B at FCHS. I'm going to do my best on this one. Here we go. And a number of these are also for our dual credit ECAs, so you'll see that along the way. We have Francisco Ao Cita. Ooh, how'd I do? That's close. I know I was close. That's for Spanish 201 and Spanish 202. Gary Bradburn for Business 101. Wes Gilman, Chemistry 101, Chemistry 105. Derek Herbert for DESN 101, 104, SDEV 153, SDEV 120. Don Hertel, Math 135 and Math 137. Adam Hofer for Communication 101. Terry Hornberger, Agriculture 103, 107, 100, and 104. Michael Christoph, History 101, History 102. Kate Schneider, Biology 101, APHY 101, 102, Biology 105. Kim Sherwood, Math 123. Derek Stain, POLS 101, MKTG 101, Business 101, Econ 101. A couple more. Colleen Tincher, Spanish 101, Spanish 102. Sharon Volk, Math 135, Math 137, Math 211. Marcus Walbring, English 111, English 215. And just so we're all connected, our dual credits courses offer an additional compensation for doing so. And so I want to take a moment and say thank you to all of them for their willingness to get the credentials that are needed and to take the step forward to take care of our kids. We have an amazing offering of programming for our kids because of folks like this who are willing to say yes and take a step forward.
Is there a motion?
I have a question first. Taking Mr. Bradburn out of credit makeup, is he going, do we still do that? Back
Play-Doh?
in the computers?
Play-Doh, you mean?
We
Yeah, Play-Doh.
have Play-Doh.
Okay, so Mr. Bradburn was back there, correct?
So Mr. Bradburn was not back there.
Okay.
He's teaching, am I correct, 6 bells currently,
Chad does it this year,
and Chad did the Play-Doh.
or he's doing the recovery.
The credit recovery. So this is the achievement school.
Who's Chad?
So
Gutzweiler.
Gutzweiler.
Mr. Gutzweiler.
Okay.
Still do.
So Chad runs our achievement school, which is their years.
Yeah.
This is their first year, and so he is running that program.
She does the
And
Play-Doh for,
And the
And-
Plato too.
Jill Murray Hall.
Yeah.
yes,
Jill's doing what?
Play-Doh, like, for kids that come into school.
Yeah, I understand what that is, but,
She does the Play-Doh this year,
okay.
so I think to give clarity, Gary is teaching traditional classes,
yes.
and then Jill is running our in-school suspension as well as our Play-Doh programming, and then a third program separate from that would be Chad Gutzweiler runs our achievement school.
Okay, okay.
Are we advertising for a position?
We are. So, interesting enough, and not in front of you just yet, but will be next month, is a resignation from our ISS Plato person, and so we are looking for that.
Okay.
And we never hesitate to jump out there and get someone quick. So the moment we get the letter, we go ahead and move forward, and then we'll bring that to the board along the way.
Right.
If anyone's looking, just know. We're advertising for a position.
Is there a motion to accept the extracurricular positions and
Uh-huh.
dual credits.
I'll make a motion to accept the extracurricular and dual credit.
Second,
I will second the motion.
is there any other discussion? All those in favor, show of hands. 7-0.
Next up, we have grants and donations. FCHS is requesting permission to accept a grant in the amount of $2,000 from TriHealth McCullough Hyde Foundation to use for supplies and training a therapy dog. FCHS is requesting permission to accept a grant in the amount of $500 from the University of Cincinnati for hosting blood drives through Hawksworth for Student Council. As always, thank you so much to those organizations for working with us and our students.
Is there a motion to accept?
Also move.
Ms. Holman,
I'll second.
second. Any discussion? All those in favor, show of hands. 7-0. Next is the item 6, financial reports. Kendra?
Yep, the corporation financial report, the education fund balance as of December 31st, 2024 was $7,239,224.34. A year ago, this balance was $4,987,978.29. I would like to pause there for a moment and discuss our legislators passed. The Indiana Department of Education now requires all of our curricular material funds as of December 31st to be moved into the education fund and out of a separate fund for curricular materials. So you will see that number inflated slightly because of that transfer. The transfer was just north of $1 million. So that's why we are seeing quite a bit difference from last year. I'm gonna go ahead and move on unless anyone has any questions. Okay. The operations fund balance as of December 31st, 2024 was $952,827.10. A year ago, this balance was $1,492,580.34. The rainy day fund balance as of December 31st, 2024 was $4,303,400.92. A year ago, this balance was $1,068,712.84. Again, this largely is due to the reimbursed bond that we did in 2021. That bond expired and was moved into the operations fund, if you remember, and then transferred to rainy day. The investment interest earned year-to-date as of December 31st, 2024 was $677,646.33. This is compared to $442,913.22 a year ago. Also, with the investment interest earned, I would like to state that I've received a lot of notification from Trust Indiana. And as far as the investment report that I gave you guys during the finance meeting, we are starting to see, as a reflect of the interest rates being cut, that it's being reflected in interest that we are receiving. I do not expect that number to be as high for 2025. I just want to go ahead and clarify that I don't expect us, one, we don't have our large bond proceeds that we used for the turf project or for other projects anymore earning interest. And I don't foresee our interest percents being 5.5% anymore. Just want to let the board be aware of that.
What is it now, Kendra?
We are roughly about 4%. I do know that I have heard that they're talking about cutting interest rates again, so it may possibly decline because of that again. It's just a direct reflection. I could be wrong, but I will keep the board updated.
This is discussion only. Is there any other discussion? I was going to ask the same question. I was looking quickly. It's a little over 4 currently. The only thing I would say about the Indiana Trust is we're free to move money in and out.
Absolutely.
As opposed to a CD that we're stuck in. That's the positive that I see in the trust.
Yeah.
We
And-
don't lose money if the interest goes down.
No, just earning a little less. And we are still, so our bank accounts are around a 4% where we're earning, I looked today, Trust Indiana is at 4.5. So it is still earning more. Again, I don't foresee it being 5.5% anymore. Again, I could be wrong, but it has declined a little bit.
Well, most of the banks now are, with 5-month and 10-month and whatever, they're down to 4 and 4.5, so.
I think that'll be a common
Yeah.
trend for at least the next year,
Yes.
however
Yes.
long.
Any other discussion? Cafeteria report?
The cafeteria fund balance as of December 31st, 2024 was $291,997.72. This is compared to $544,444.25 a year ago. The latchkey fund balance as of December 31st, 2024 was $19,851.57. This is compared to $15,173.83 a year ago.
Yeah, thank you. Just a little bit of confusion, I think. What about the summer program? I mean, the kids eat free, right?
Yep,
Is it still available for adults?
it is.
But they pay.
They do.
And we fund that how?
So that is through a summer feeding program through the state, or through the federal, sorry. It's, our food is federally funded. And that's a grant that she applies for and gets reimbursed for.
I'm just curious.
Yep.
And that
So-
was available at all 3 schools, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was available, I think there was all 5. She had 3 location
Oh,
points, I
okay.
believe, this past year. And actually, for the first time, she ran it through July as well, this past year. It was June and July.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good news.
I have a question on the latchkey, not about the funds, just out of curiosity. Have we ever looked at a different form of payment, such as online or anything like that? Asking for a friend.
We have not. That is something that we could look into.
I don't want to take money away, but
No, yeah, that's a great option. I can definitely look into that. Yeah.
I would agree with that too, because I've had that asked to me quite a few times about latchkey. So I do think it would be a good idea. Even if we had an option like where they could do it online, it may be a little bit easier too.
Okay. Yeah, I can look into that.
Do we allow credit cards used in the lunch? Well, we're not paying for lunch. Do we use credit cards anywhere?
They have credit card machines. It used to be for like book payments or book
Right.
fees, but because those went away, we really don't utilize them a whole lot. I do know at the high school, I believe they use them for like the bookstore, and maybe odd and end fees that if someone had a lost library book or things like that. But ever since the curricular materials book fees went away, they haven't been utilized near as much.
I think we need to really watch that because a lot of these credit card companies are charging fees.
Yes, that's
Like 3% or something like that. And I don't think we need to get into that.
right.
So,
So our current ones, they do charge fees, and that's one of the reasons that they don't get utilized near
Right.
as much, because that does get passed on to the parent
Right.
directly.
right.
I know the lunch account, if you use the lunch account online, obviously, you can pay by credit card, it charges a fee. So,
And that would be for our a la carte items.
right,
Yeah,
for other
that's-
items.
But that fee goes to the payor, not deducted. from-
Right, so if I put money on my child's
That's-
account, I pay the fee.
That was what I was getting at.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's me. I get an invoice for latchkey and
Yep.
Asking for a friend, huh?
My kids eat lots of a la
understand.
carte. I get it. Yeah, I
I
mean,
just knew we had it for before the cafeteria lunch,
Mm-hmm.
and believe that there was an option to do an e-check as well. I could be wrong. I
Yeah.
haven't done it in a while, but
I haven't gone through the portal myself, to
just
be
out of,
honest.
it was just
but,
curious.
Yeah.
If we've ever looked at it.
We can look into it, yes.
While we're talking about fees, what the state pays for fees for our books and things like that, are we coming anywhere close to what we are charging and what they are paying? How much deficit do we have?
So previously, what we would receive from parents versus what the state is reimbursing us per student, I believe we are about neutral. We honestly might be coming out a little ahead because previously there was a lot of time and effort if parents didn't pay or couldn't, tracking it down, going through those routes. This has cut a lot of that out, and I believe that we are thankfully one of the few school districts that is actually not hurt by the reimbursement of the curricular materials. I know a lot of other schools are.
Yes.
They would have very high fees. Ours were pretty low, so we're actually about even, if not maybe a tick ahead.
There was a lot of complaining the first part of the year about schools in northern Indiana that weren't even coming close.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Thankfully, we're not in that situation.
okay, thank you.
Any other discussion on the fund reports?
So the next item on the agenda is permission. The Community Foundation requires minutes showing board approval as part of their application packet. This is just an overall approval from the board for any of our staff to apply for 2025 Franklin County Community Foundation project grants.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Foster, second? Katie?
Okay.
Any discussion? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm so thankful for that partnership. That has been such a gift coming here, not having that from where I come from. That organization, Shelley in particular, just wonderful. Always willing to help, jump in, looking for ways to be a partner. I'm very thankful for them.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, show of hands. Budget
Next.
transfers?
Every year, as part of my end of year process, at the beginning of the year, we set appropriation to every line item in our accounting. What I'm asking for tonight is approval of what I do is I balance our expenditure line items. This does not affect, we did not go over our overall budget. We set a budget for education and operations, and then there are hundreds of expenditure lines within each fund. What I am asking for tonight is to be able to balance those and any accounts that may have been a negative versus an over appropriated. What this does is just help me balance our end of calendar year budget. We have done this every year. I'll just say it's nothing new. But if there's any questions, I haven't done this yet, so I don't have totals for you. I'm asking for approval to be able to do this.
Do we have a motion?
I move.
Katie, motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? I'm going to ask a clarifying question just for public, because you don't keep, for every line item, you don't have a separate account. It's just,
Nope.
this is so you can go back and balance it all out
Correct. So
to the main accounts.
education and operation are two main accounts, and we do have a total budget, and then we have a lot of line items within each one of those funds. And what I'm asking for tonight is just a balance within each fund. We have not overexpended in either one of what the state has allowed us to. I'm just asking to balance them out.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, show of hands. 7-0. And lastly,
So the last one, I will let you know is an extra agenda item that we added Friday?
Yep.
Friday. On January 3rd, we received a notice. Back in 2021, the Indiana Department of Education came out with 2 requirements for school corporations. One was what they call a funding floor. The other one is sorry, I had it pulled up and I lost it. It's called the 60% rule, is what I know it by. But the 60% rule is saying that of the funds that we receive from the state for our education funds, 60% has to be spent on teachers' salary and benefits. For 24, we were actually 62%. However, there is a funding floor requirement within that. And what that states is that from year to year, we cannot go below the previous year. And in 23, our funding floor was set at $7,035,700. In 24, we did go below that at $6,918,249. With that being said, there are quite a few factors that could have gone into this. Could have been teachers are just choosing not to take our full benefits from the previous year. And I do have Kelly here, and I spoke to her earlier, who's from the union. In 24, we actually settled the teacher contract within 1 day. The teachers union and the school corporation were in full agreement with the contract. So it was a matter, the reason that we dipped below could have been a multitude of things. People not selecting their full benefits, us hiring newer teachers rather than when someone retires, not replacing their full salary with a newer teacher, anything along those lines. So per Indiana State Code, I'm bringing this, we are to acknowledge it tonight. And then after tonight, we will have this up on our website as a notice. But other than that, that's what the state requires us for dipping below the funding floor. Any questions?
Can I clarify?
Yes.
When you say
Yeah.
a notice, what does that mean for us?
Just that we acknowledge it. That what they did is they sent an email to myself, Mr. Gehring, and at the time, well, it was Mr. Brumback, our president. We received this notice January 3rd via email, just saying that pursuant to the code, we dipped below the previous year's funding floor, and here's what we need to do moving forward. And it was acknowledge it tonight and posted on our website.
And so this goes back to negotiations, not the ones that we just finished, but the year even before that, just so kind of timing, so you know where we stand.
I mean, basically, we're setting the budget when we do the negotiations and everything to get to that 60%. But if there's a legitimate reason that it was under, such as you said, a teacher retires and replaced with someone not as experienced, there's no penalty for that. I mean,
No.
it's- right.
No, there's no
This is the
penalty. Yeah, the penalty is that we acknowledge it tonight. And I just do want to clarify, so it's fiscal year 24, so that is fall of 23 to spring of 24. Our negotiations occur in September, October. Then we have open enrollment for benefits in October. We could have been at that threshold with the expectation of benefits, everyone selecting higher benefits, and then when open enrollment occurs, people choose what meet their needs, and we could have fallen below that at that time.
Any other discussion?
I have one other question just to clarify. It sounds like you were saying with that floor, like year over year, we can never go below that. We can never spend less?
So per Indiana code, the only time that we can is, and you can see on the notice, it has our state tuition support. If a school corporation was to lose students and we would not get the same tuition support, we are allowed to go below the previous year. But because of what the legislators approved more per student, even though we did decline in enrollment, they allotted a percentage more per student, which allowed our state tuition support to increase, even though we had a declining enrollment.
Thank
That's
you.
making sense.
I think so, yeah.
You did a great job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Next is statements from the public and employees. Do we have any?
Not tonight, sir.
No one has signed up. Next is old business. Mr.
Yeah,
Young.
going back a couple of meetings, we had a question around our copier usage as well as breakage as well. And so for the board, we've put a report together and you have access to that. I do want to take a moment and walk you kind of through it. Before I even take a step forward, what is here is clear that there are 2 copiers in our corporation that are used incredibly and also have found themselves broken on occasion. So full acknowledgement to that. And we are now in contractual conversations with the company to look at our future. What happens here is you have a copy that's really set for 7 years, and we're on year 6 of that. This was a contract that was extended an additional time period because there was some questions around the future of our master facility plan and what copiers were going to go where. And so they extended the current copier contract, which left the machines where they were, which got us kind of to the end of their life. And we are right there. And we are currently in negotiations around bringing in new machines. So by the time we get back to school next year, well before then, but by the time we get there, we'll be under new contract, and that comes with new machines. But full acknowledgement that there are 2 machines, and we'll walk through those, that are causing us more problems than others. They're also being used. Of course they are, because it's our biggest elementary. So what you see in front of you on the chart, just to kind of make sure you understand it, I met with the organization. They were really great to work with. We sat down for about an hour and a half and went through everything together. What you see is, of course, each of our copiers. As you slide over to the right, you'll see data. So you'll see the sum of response hours, which means from the time that there was a phone call made to the company, how long before they had a rep out there working on the copier, then how long did it take to fix? Okay, so you can kind of review that for yourself. But the first one, for example, we called within an hour and 48 minutes. They had someone on site, and within 83 total minutes, 83. Yeah, well, that's not true. About 50 minutes, 83% of a whole. They had it repaired. As you go down the list, you'll see that our BES copiers have seen the most love, of course, as well as they've seen quite a bit of breakage time. And so full acknowledgement there that that's what those numbers are, and those are our workhorses as well as the ones that are seeing the most time down. While we are in contract negotiations, I've asked the company to come forth with a plan to get us to the end of the year. That meeting's coming up. I have that meeting with them around how can we survive the rest of this year at BES in particular to make sure that our teachers get what they need. It's important that our teachers have what they need. So I very much appreciate it being brought up as well as the data I was able to bring forth. What questions does this create for the team?
Number one, is this company a company that we've used for a while, or yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it local or is it from Cincinnati or where?
I don't actually know where they house out of.
Okay.
I don't know that answer. I'm sorry.
Okay, and then thirdly, is this negotiable?
Always.
Yeah,
Always.
because,
I will say this. I mean, we are on year 6 of the 7-year lifespan of these machines. At some point, it was a decision made to continue, which is the right decision. We were doing a lot of decisions as a board. We didn't know what the future of our master facility plan was. There was a lot of things in flux. And so a good decision was made to continue this rather than start over. Because once you get in, that's how many machines that you have for as long as you have them. And of course, you pay per machine. And so it made a lot of sense to continue that based on the conversations that were happening. But we are now at the point of the end of that life for these machines. And so it's starting to show.
does this person that you met with, of course, copiers have changed dramatically, and I'm sure that we have really old printer or copiers, correct?
They're 6 years old. They typically last
Okay.
7 years.
Okay, well, the technology would be
Absolutely.
very much changed.
Sure.
can he give you kind of an idea when you meet with him, how much more, an upscale
Okay.
copier?
So anytime I meet with a company, I always say, I want you to tell me what we have, right? Give me a price on what we have, and what's the next tier, and then let's shoot the moon. So I want to know what we don't have, so that I know the difference between the two. So yes, that's actually already in process.
Okay, and then, will we step out and maybe look for another bid to come in, or, I mean, we won't stay with this just because we've been with it. I'm not saying get rid of this company, I'm just saying we need to be competitive with our prices.
Here's the thing I know, we have something to offer, and that's money. And so, yes, I think we should find other companies that may want our money as well.
Okay.
So I've never hesitant to do that, and we do have time. Sometimes you get to the point where you're kind of rushing, like, oh
Right.
my goodness, we have to
Right.
move now. We don't, we're okay. So yes, we will be in competitive bidding
Okay.
along the way.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Do we restrict the usage of those machines by teachers?
No, we
Okay,
do
it's just-
monitor, we have a system
okay.
that monitors who's doing the most, but none of them have had a cutoff necessarily.
Okay,
They each have numbers, like we used to.
Yeah, you have to log in.
but if there's no maximum, but I'm not saying there should be, but cause and effect. We're in year 6 and then we're out, so.
Yeah, yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is put out as a bidding process
Yes, sir.
to all companies?
That's
Is there
what I was
several?
trying to say.
Yeah.
We haven't opened the bidding,
Is
just,
there
we haven't
several
opened that.
companies I'm not really familiar with?
They exist, and we will be pursuing them to have them give us a quote as well. But it's not like a mowing bidding process. It's a little bit different.
Well, it's just, we don't know what they have.
Sure.
What, you know,
Sure.
it's like buying a washer.
Absolutely. We will not be reverting back to a ditto machine if any of those, with the crank, no worries. We're gonna go forward, we're not going backwards, that is for sure. But absolutely, we will be pursuing all those things, and eventually I'll be bringing the board the contract. But just, what was it, the question that was originally asked was, can you look into what's happening? And we did, and there are two that are absolutely, and you get a sense of how long they're really down. Outside of the two, it's a very brief time, holistically speaking, right? But the two workhorses, absolutely. And so I've asked them to have a plan to get us to the end of the year. Because while we negotiate, they want to be my friend. And so that's how you get to be my friend, is you fix problems.
You want your money.
If there's no other discussion, we will move on to new business. And first up is the FCHS academic handbook changes.
Yeah.
And I believe we have Mr. Frank.
We sure do. Mr. Franks, come on up, take that podium. He's going to talk to us about some academic handbook changes. Mr. Franks is one of our counselors at the high school.
It's not much.
Oh, I could have helped you. I'm so sorry.
Do you want another copy?
I'm good.
You want us to just pass
Yeah,
it
let's
down
pass it
when we get
around.
started?
Yeah, we did this before. We've been in school.
Thank you.
Take one, pass it down.
Oh, and
Um,
it says one of two.
Oh, the other
You're good.
sheet's just blank, so I got rid
Okay.
of this. So. Like I said, there's not much. The first one on the academic changes is English 111. That is one of our dual credit English classes. The only thing that's changing is typically that's only offered to seniors, but we are gonna offer it to juniors. And I'll tell you the reason why here once I get done. The second one is creative writing. That's English 202. This will be an elective, an additional elective for the English classes, and this will be opened up to juniors and seniors second semester. And then advanced English, English 206 is the introduction of literature. This will be the juniors second semester English class. So again, dual credit. The reason for those two right there, the 202 and 206, is because Mr. Hofer is finishing up some schooling by the end of this year. So he will be able to teach these two dual credit classes, which will replace our AP literature class. So AP will be kind of going out, and these dual credits will be going in. And lastly, from Mr. Hofer's conversation and he will be moving away from the IU speech class and joining Ivy Tech. That's just the only thing we're making there. And then last but not least, right before Christmas break, I applied for the JAG pathway through the Indiana State, like a local creative pathway. That did get accepted. So I'm adding that as an additional pathway for kids to graduate. There are steps, obviously, that we have to follow, and that just kind of outlines our JAG pathway. So that's the only changes I have for the academic change book.
Is there a motion to approve the changes?
I have a question, if I may. On the IU 121 and the Ivy Tech 101 now, how does that affect the kids who's going on to post-secondary schools? Are those classes going to be accepted everywhere?
Yeah, so that actually came up today. It's just he does that class right now through IU ACP, and he's just going to join every other single teacher in our building with Ivy Tech. And those, nothing will happen accredited wise. Right now, if a kid takes Ivy Tech through or the speech class, it's part of the ICC, which is Indiana College Score. Your first
Okay.
year of college done. Every public college has to accept that. So,
Is that in Indiana?
yeah, Indiana. Yep.
I think it's a great thing. I'm very thankful for it. Maddie, my daughter, is in the early college, and she has been looking at Ivy Tech. And when we looked at the syllabus at Ivy Tech, she wants to go to school for a medical diagnostic sonographer, ultrasound tech. And a lot of her elective classes will already be complete when she goes into Ivy Tech, so she'll actually just be able to go right into her clinicals. And when I looked at the price of it through Ivy Tech, it would only cost her maybe $7,000-8,000 to complete and have a degree. So I'm very thankful for it and all the classes that you guys offer.
Indeed. Do they still have to buy the books? No?
Like dual credit wise?
Yeah.
No, it's, if our teacher teaches it, it's all paid for. Now,
Okay.
if a kid does take a class online, there may be a small book fee, but you're talking like $16.
Okay.
But our, Janelle, our Ivy Tech representative, goes through all that with them if they sign for a class online.
Yeah, it's good.
That's awesome. Good.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I second.
The race. One other item for discussion.
Any other discussion?
If it's okay with the board, I'd like to also take a moment. So we had a chance to sit down on one of our snow days, and we had a future graduation meeting to talk about the new pathways, the new plan, and where are we now. And Zach, as well as the team around him, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. The eighth graders coming into ninth grade are in a good place. We're always future thinking. We're thinking big. We are studying a course of vision around what can this mean for us. But I know there's a lot of anxiety around the state, around all the new things that are happening, but we are very settled and we are in a good place that our kids are going to be taken care of. And from here, we trampoline forward, meaning that, yes, we ensure that we check the box. What do we have to do? After that, we start, well, what can we do? What can we do? Talking about pathways and what's possible for our kids. And I will say, one of the things coming here that I've seen that I haven't seen in other places is the availability. I've always been around a college credit plus or those opportunities in Ohio, but what I've seen here at this corporation is incredible. The number of teachers who have bought in around the dual credit options, because it takes effort on their part too. They have to be willing to go out and do these things so that our kids can have these things. And I will just say out loud, if there's any families out there that are wondering, is FCCSC the place for them? It absolutely is. The opportunities are incredible around these dual credits. It is a diamond in the rough around early college. I've learned so much around what we already offer here. And so Mr. Frank, as well as Ms. South and the entire team at the high school are really to be noted on what they can offer for our kids. And we really need people singing that from the mountaintops. Honestly, if you have a high school student in our community and they're not going to our school, you're missing it. You're missing it. Flat out, you're missing it. And I know there's all kinds of reasons to do it all kinds of ways, and I'm not going to argue against any of that except for the fact that you're missing it. You're missing the opportunity. There's incredible opportunities for our kids right here, and we need to ensure that we are singing that from the mountaintops, and it circles right back to people, right? It circles right back to the people who are willing to say, yes, I'll do more for our kids, and these teachers, and the admin, and the counselors, and everyone in between, honestly, there's a lot of reasons to believe that that is the place to be if you're a high school student for sure. So not to stand on a soapbox for too long, but we have to be able to sing to the mountaintops what we offer here.
How can we sing louder?
Everyone's saying the same thing.
No, I mean, we've said maybe this will bring some kids back or whatever. I don't know, but it seems.
Heimlicher.
What? That we need to sing louder. I mean, we
I
need
agree
to
with you.
get this out. We need to,
Sure.
I don't know how.
Well,
I
I'll
mean,
tell you, I got a couple of ideas for you. All right, I'm
Okay.
always gonna have
Good.
ideas for you. One is, it's a grassroots effort. Who are your family friends who aren't going to our corporation and are going elsewhere, and you saying out loud to them, like, that's great, but this is the place to be. Let me tell you about my kid's experience. Let me tell you about what we're offering here and what I know that this kid had and that kid had. It starts with grassroots there. Beyond that, it's every moment we can and everyone can. We don't need a marketing person for other people to start marketing for us about the great things that are happening here. It is time for people to notice what is happening and then speak about it on social media, but also at IGA. Right,
Yeah.
right. When you're at Skyline, when you're at the Dairy Cottage, like wherever you are you in conversation with people and you're saying, hey, did you know that my child, or hey, did you know we offer this thing? That is the effort and the movement that we want to see happening. And I don't think people realize how good it is here.
And that's why I want it out there more.
Because I come from somewhere else, and it's also wonderful there. I'm not complaining, not at all, not whatsoever. But I'm telling you, from an outside perspective, if your kid lives here and doesn't go here, you're missing it. And I'll say that in front of anybody. You're absolutely missing an opportunity for our kids. So, not to stand on a soapbox longer, but if I could get more people saying the same things I'm saying and realizing how good it is here. I am already tired, 5 months in, of people saying it's the same old, oh, it's just this, or it isn't just this. It is Franklin County High School with an early college option, and your kids can get their first year done right here for free, and we have incredible teachers. It's not just Franklin County High School.
Yeah.
It is the Franklin County High School. Thank you very much. And yes, you're missing it if you ain't there. So
Did
that's what we need to start talking about.
Did we use all that money that we used to advertise, or didn't we get money from, where did we get money from?
So we have partnerships around
Yes.
with different groups, for sure, through the redevelopment commission and things of that
Right.
nature. Yep. So we have our new website, we have our new app,
we
those
use all
things.
that money
Yep.
then?
Well, we didn't
Okay.
use them all. Don't get me wrong. We also have the Google car came through, and we have an incredible display that's been soft launched to our community around our high school facilities and what's to offer. It's incredible. This it's a really great program. And then what's coming up, we haven't talked about this a lot, but coming up soon is our Portrait of the Graduate work. We have found the funding that in second semester, we're going to do that Portrait of the Graduate work that we've talked about here, about what competencies we want to see out of our graduates, and so that everyone's building into the same thing. We create and build and teach and grow great people here at Franklin County. We do. We absolutely do. And it is time for folks to notice that. And so we're going to take Portrait of a Graduate as a chance to kind of explore that and make sure that everyone knows what I know, which is that this is a great place.
Can I back you up
Thank you.
just a little?
Please do.
So the state has finalized the pathways for the eighth graders.
Yep.
That's all finalized?
Yep.
Okay.
But the diploma, is the diploma done?
So it is done. We are allowed to jump in earlier, but our current eighth graders will be the first group to graduate under the current law.
That's right.
Yes. Zach and I apologize. You're standing at that podium as I'm preaching from the podium. This poor guy is going, I just need a vote, enough. So if it's okay with the group, Kevin, go ahead.
I'll add two short things, hopefully. One, I think I was looking at some articles. We are way ahead of a lot of other schools with our digital program. So kudos to you guys and everyone else in the department. And secondly, just because he got on the soapbox and you're standing there, and I will leave it to someone else if they want to say something, but you and Ms. Hurdle were given very high praise from this weekend for just going above and beyond. And I'll leave it at that for my part.
Very much appreciated.
Just helping everyone out and doing what's right, even on your day off. Any other discussion? If not, we will move to a vote to approve the changes to the academic handbook, right?
Yep.
All those in favor, show of hands. 7-0.
Thanks, Zach. Zach, I did not sign up for all that.
Next is the mowing and landscaping bids for 2025.
Yep, Dustin Gary Superintendent is requesting permission to advertise for bids for the 25 mowing and landscaping weed control of all FCCSC campuses and the administrative office beginning March 1st of 25 through the end of October of 25 for mowing, and then the end of November of 25 for landscaping. Bids will be received until 2 o'clock on February the 6th and submitted for approval at the February 10th school board meeting. That would require a first, a second, discussion, and a vote.
Do we have a motion?
I have a question. I know I've had several. As I read that, it doesn't include the athletic fields.
So we have an incredible team member that really takes care of our fields on campus.
I mean, when you say team member, you're saying coach?
I'm saying our maintenance team.
Your maintenance team does it. So they do the spraying as well as the mowing?
Mhm.
Okay, all right. And I would assume that the football field has to be groomed because it's,
There's a whole process.
Yeah,
That's
right.
absolutely right.
but they take care of that as well.
They do to whatever degree we're allowed to. There's a warranty on the field that limits some of our ability to do some of that work, but we are already in conversation with how often they're going to come and do that to take care of the field and to soften it up as it hardens.
Yeah, obviously that would affect longevity, so,
Yes.
yeah.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Gary's.
Or to post post for bids?
That's why I brought that up. Also move? Yeah.
Ken, second? Katie? Any other discussion?
Just, I've been asked about this personally myself, to clarify, where is this advertised? How does someone
Yep.
bid?
So it gets advertised in the newspaper and also on our website.
Okay, thank you.
And forms are available for them to fill out, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, all those in favor, show of hands. 7-0. Right.
All right.
Beth, sorry.
I'm sorry.
You did raise your hand, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Thank you.
Um,
Item C.
Yes, next is 1003 waiver board resolution.
So annually, we have an option to ask the state of Indiana to waive one of their requirements. And so there's a plethora of them that we could ask for. The most notable and often used is talked about how many days you have to go to school or how many hours you have to go to school. And I've talked to the board a bit about what was coming for next school year, what my hope was. And so part of that process is me coming to you first to say, are you okay if I apply for the 1003 waiver? And let me explain. And in here, you'll see the details of that 1003 waiver as well. And so what we're asking for, just to get some clarity, is next year and the year after, we would like to have our students in session 177 days. This has nothing to do with snow, and it has nothing to do with e-learning. It has to do with us being able to allow our teachers to come in for professional development. Our corporation, as well as many others, are in a bit of a PD desert where our teachers don't get a lot of opportunities once we kick the year off to do any of these professional learnings. They do fantastic work. This is not about that, but it is about getting and making sure that we are all doing equitable strategies across the board around what is best education look like, as well as how we take care of our kids. And so I am asking for the board's approval to go apply through the 1003 waiver, 177 days instead of 180. Of course, they also have to say yes, but it starts with you if you're willing with the first, second, discussion, and vote.
Do we have a motion to approve Mr.
Just-
Gearing to request?
Just a minute. For our people watching, you might mention something. I'm not trying to tell you how to do this, but
Okay.
you might mention minutes
Yes.
and how we can do this.
Sure. So our state has a minimum number of, it's an interesting way in which they factor things. So they both have a law around hours. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the page. They have both the law around hours as well as days. And so days is 180, and in our hours, we are well above the basic number of hours that we need at all levels. Even after dropping it down to 177 days, we are still well above the state minimum number of minutes at all grade levels, even with this waiver, because of the number of hours in which we go to school every day. that we stand above the state minimum. And so we will continue to be above the state minimum in minutes, but of course, the days is also something that they track.
Do you have a motion to approve?
I move that we accept the professional development applying to the state.
Well, I mean, the schools aren't all the same.
Is there a second?
Well, they are.
Ms. Wilson? Any other discussion?
I'll ask a point of clarity as well. So how is this impacting, or is this different than like the early release days?
Yep, it's a great question. So we have early releases where our teachers get together monthly to do some of the data work as well as just nuts and bolts around just running the building itself. There is something else to be said about spending a good amount of time in a day learning from each other as well as other professionals around best strategies and ways to implement those. And so it gives us a chance to go deeper, not just wider, around some great strategies. We have incredible teachers. That's not what this is about. It really is about getting equitable access to all incredible teachers across the board. As everyone, you've hired them, you know, we have quite a few teachers that are new to the profession. And once you get past August, there's not a lot of time to build into them. And this gives us both the minutes and moments to do just that, in addition to our early releases, which typically are a lot of team building, nuts and bolts around the building operations, but also data along with it. But this is like strategy around teaching to help our folks, our kids have access to the absolute best.
So, and to clarify again, what that looks like for a student or at home, it's just a day off, an in-service type day.
That's the waiver. Yep.
Okay.
That's
Thank
correct.
you.
So they won't be replaced with e-learning. It will be just a one less day of school on the school year, but plenty of minutes, not to worry.
But the teachers will still stay at 180 days.
185.
I mean, 185.
That's correct.
So that wages won't be.
No. Not for our teachers. No, that's correct.
Any other discussion? So we'll take a vote to approve Mr. Gearing to apply for the 1003 waiver. All those in favor, show of hands. 7. Move to the superintendent's report, if you'd like to get back on your soapbox.
Sorry, I'll try to be a little calmer this time if it's okay. So just wanted to mention a couple of things. First and foremost, you know, I know that both 2-hour delays as well as snow days are difficult for families. There's no question about that. We always are looking for the best possible decision. We don't just step outside, take a look around and say, okay, let's do it. We have a team of folks that are in communication as the weather's approaching, both here as well as other corporations. I'm on several groups with several other superintendents that we're in association with. I'm actually also on a group with a lot of our county folks who are giving me by-the-minute updates around the community and the county to kind of let me know what they're seeing as well. And then our own team does a ton of miles of driving. If there's a question around can we or should we have a snow day or whatever it is we may do, there's always a little anxiety as a superintendent to make that decision. That's a tough one, one of the more difficult decisions along the way. We never want to miss an opportunity for our kids to grow. That is never what we're looking for, but we're always looking to keep them safe. And so we're making those kinds of decisions. We were also able to use an e-learning day recently, and we put out some expectations around that. And just so that everyone's clear, we paused the e-learning for one additional day because we came right back from break and our kids did not have their devices. Our folks weren't ready. We needed to make a good choice so that we had a good streamlined process. And so we did just that. And we got our teachers, had a chance to get everyone ready and themselves ready as we saw some more weather coming along the way. We know that there's more weather coming. We're not finished with the season. And so we continue to look for evidence to make these decisions, but we'll never hesitate to do what is the safest for our students and our families and our staff as these decisions are being made. All truth being told, I'll never hesitate to say if we got one wrong or et cetera. Today probably was something that, you know, to do again. When we looked at it, said we did a 2-hour delay. Everything was leading that way. We were kind of teetering as many corporations around us were making their decisions. I was looking for evidence around what's happening with us. One piece came in, another piece came in, another piece came in, and so we made the move. I like to make sure our families know early because I have 5 children. I understand the concept of what it looks like to try and find the next step for your kids. What does that look like for your family? And so I do try to make sure that we do things early. But the truth is, as I drove the county today, this morning, as well as other team members, we probably missed this one a little bit, and I apologize about that because a 2-hour delay is hard, and I know that. But everything came together around evidence and what was leading us, and so we made that decision. And it's always the gut wrench where you pull around and go, well, we could have did this instead. But we'll always err on the side of safety when the evidence is saying this is the best choice for us. Although I know it probably caused some frustrations out there, I do understand that. But I do always want people to know where these decisions come from, like where are we and how does that work? Never hesitate to call, email. I'm always willing to talk about what led to this. But so that's just a little bit of an update on that. Of course, we know we're not done with the season. We got more coming for sure.
What's the formula used for extracurricular, Dustin?
Absolutely. So I made a decision with our athletic directors to make it so that it wasn't automatic, that a closure doesn't automatically mean all cancellations. And so if we close early enough that we can wait till the next day to make those decisions, et cetera, there isn't like a perfect formula, but we're watching to see what's happening as the day is proceeding to say, is it possible to have athletics or not? And we still want to make really safe decisions and as early as possible. But we do split those two things, that if we have a snow day, it doesn't automatically mean that we're going to have no athletics that day or events. It often will. Let's just say that out loud. It often will. But we will communicate all along the way, because if we can have an event, let's say there's an inch that comes in and we have to cancel school. But by 1 o'clock, it is clear that we can get kids on campus and we can do what we need to. We'll look to do that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And sir, that is all I have for my update today.
I will say, with the closures and delays, initial questions are always there, but that was followed by immediate appreciation for clarification on your part and the administration's part. So I will say thank you as a parent for that. Next is legislative updates, and we'll circle back again if anybody else wants to be the legislative liaison.
I think you're set.
All I'll say at this point is this is a long session year. They just started January 8th. Have to be done by April 29th, I believe. It is a budget year, so we'll see if there's any changes for us and all those other schools to give Kendra some more headaches. But outside of that, they're just getting started, so I'm sure Mr. Gearing will as well, but I encourage everyone to follow along with the updates, and ISBA puts out updates weekly, so we will follow along with that. Next is, are there any future agenda requests? There are none. Recognition and acknowledgements.
None for tonight, sir.
I would just like to say welcome to the new and returning board members.
Absolutely.
And congratulations. If there's nothing else,
Yes, sir.
we will move to adjourn. The next regular board meeting will be February 10th, 2025 at 6 p.m. here at the admin building.
Thank you.